Outsiders are oppressing us as they are on their way. Neil deGrasse Tyson shouts out, affirming the most befuddling and unfortunate revelation made by the explorer in the previous 10 years. A revelation that researchers were not the slightest bit ready for. Since the explorer sent back this upsetting information from space, the academic community has been unable to rest, and everyone is walking under a tense atmosphere. Analysts, researchers, and specialists have been stirred from their stations to battle these mysterious objects that the explorer recently spotted. We don't have the foggiest idea where these odd objects are coming from or where they are going. However, what we can be sure of is that we have seen nothing like them before. What are these strange items that were recently found by Explorer 1? Join us today as we examine these answers in Neil deGrasse Tyson's Explorer 1, which has identified 500 unknown objects passing by in space. For almost 50 years, Explorer 1 has been cruising through the highways of space, exploring the deep realms that ground-based telescopes have been barred from seeing, and revealing discoveries that leave our mouths wide open in shock. A result of genius minds that stream in abundance at the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory, Explorer 1 has been the brilliant courier to the strange region of intergalactic space. This engineering masterpiece has opened our eyes to the staggering wonders that exist in our universe. In a recent development, Neil deGrasse Tyson has confirmed that Explorer has identified 500 unknown objects floating calmly in space. This news came as a shock to the scientific community, shaking researchers as everyone began poring over the data received from Explorer 1. Something unusual was brewing on the horizon, and it was hard to address this bubbling riddle that had puzzled even the best of researchers. Since Neil deGrasse Tyson confirmed this discovery, different interpretations have been flying in the air, trying to paint a clear picture that makes sense of the mystery. If it had been another spacecraft that transmitted the kind of confusing information that was recently communicated from space, researchers might have questioned the legitimacy of the data. Anyway, it is Explorer 1 we are talking about here, the space probe that has been cruising through the harsh ways of space for almost 50 years now and has surpassed our expectations. Like a patient who beat cancer, Explorer 1 has exceeded researchers' projected lifespan of 3 years to spend more than 45 years in space, revealing history-making discoveries all the while. The most captivating part about this famous story is that Explorer 1 is crafting this success story from a very far distance from Earth. The last time researchers checked, they saw that the space probe was 14.5 billion miles away from our planet, racing away in space with no sign that it would slow down anytime soon. Scientists say that the space probe has been traveling at a rate multiple times the distance between the Earth and the Sun each year. This is one pill that researchers have found a bit hard to swallow because normally, one would have expected the space probe's speed to have declined enormously given the longevity of its journey in space. Upon a closer look, it appears Explorer 1 is bound to be the exception when it comes to this narrative, and it has shown proof of this again with its latest findings. It was just like any other day for researchers when Explorer 1 slammed exciting news on their faces, one that would stick in their memories for a long time. Explorer 1 had stumbled upon some puzzling objects passing by in space. This discovery was impromptu, which explains the initial confusion of astronomers when they looked over data showing that around 500 unknown objects had appeared from nowhere. One moment, we had no familiarity with the existence of these objects, and the next moment, we had researchers breaking their brains in search of an answer to this puzzle that nature had landed on their laps. Researchers were in a fix, and the blame could be traced to only one culprit, Explorer 1. Amusingly, researchers also knew that the solution to untangling this mystery likewise lay on the hefty shoulders of the space probe. At first, when news of this discovery broke out, some researchers considered the possibility that it might have been a mistake. They felt that the age of Explorer 1 might be catching up with it, and thus it might transmit incorrect data back to us. If we decide to walk on this unfolding path, it seems like a possible explanation, given the fact that Explorer 1 was launched as far back as 1977. That's almost 50 years of active service on behalf of humanity. One can anticipate that the spacecraft's computers would have become tired and started to malfunction, shirking in their duties and sending back low-quality information to the ground team. As charming as this story sounds, researchers have advised that we shouldn't step there since it would be a slap on the sacrificial soul of the explorer. Despite the harsh and unpredictable environment of space, Explorer 1 has consistently produced informative data about our universe. Contrary to the hasty assumptions of skeptics, the space probe has maintained its long life thanks to its dual redundant computer systems. Like its twin Voyager 2, Explorer 1 came equipped with 2 sets of command subsystems, flight data systems, FDS, and attitude and articulation control systems, AACS. This has been the secret power behind the spacecraft's resilient fighting spirit when it comes to charting through space and revealing discoveries. The redundancy paved the way for seamless transitions between systems and the ability to activate dormant computer parts, thus preserving their lifespan. While designing Explorer 1, the engineers back on Earth came up with a plan to help the space probe augment efficiency. This required that the probe's instruments would need to rely on engineered logic. They were taking no chances when it came to this area because they were constrained by time limitations and power budgets. The electrical engineers decided that the instruments would need to be developed using simplified systems that depended on hardware logic. Thus, Explorer's computer systems comprised 6 onboard computers integrated as a distributed system with 3 dual redundant sets. Having overcome this obstacle, researchers had to face the next tall brick wall in their path: maintaining the systems. This daunting level was conquered by coming up with an ongoing power management plan. Here's where it gets a bit tricky. Power management involved supporting the operational capabilities of Voyager's computer systems, and if we're being honest, this is a tedious task to handle. Given the limited power resources available on board the space probe, it was like sending a hunter into the deep jungle to hunt for wild animals with just a set of knives. Nevertheless, researchers found a way around this issue by devising several measures to conserve and optimize power use on board the Explorer. A prime example of these power management measures that engineers devised is the selective shutdown of non-essential systems. Engineers were forced into making this hard decision. Therefore, they used a fundamental approach to identify and deactivate components or subsystems that are not crucial for the spacecraft's primary mission objectives. We see evidence of this when we take a brief glance at heaters associated with certain instruments that had to be turned off. These heaters were originally designed to maintain the instruments at specific temperatures so they would work or perform optimally. However, the story had to be rewritten by deactivating them because it significantly reduced power consumption on board the Explorer. This reduction in the spacecraft's power use comes with a ripple effect, an extension of the Explorer's lifespan. This is a win-win situation for everyone. Additionally, we ought to remember that this decision to shut down non-essential systems isn't taken lightly. It is a deliberate activity that requires careful evaluation of the trade-offs between power conservation and the scientific objectives of the spacecraft. Whenever such a decision was taken, all hands had to be on deck. Engineers and researchers had to sit together and assess the impact of deactivating specific systems on the quality and availability of scientific data. Emotions weren't at play here. It was entirely straightforward based on the facts at hand. The team was driven by the desire to maximize power efficiency while maintaining the essential functionality of the spacecraft so it could continue gathering valuable data about our universe undisturbed. Engineers and researchers alike wanted nothing to impede Explorer's path when it came to uncovering the deep secrets locked away in the hidden realms of space. Secrets that the universe has been hiding from us for a long time. However, selective power reduction isn't the only way that NASA engineers are keeping the Explorer afloat and working optimally in space. They had another trick up their sleeves, which they had to bring to the table for the benefit of the spacecraft. Alongside researchers, the engineers had to come up with power management strategies that are adapted to the ever-changing conditions of the spacecraft's environment. For instance, as Explorer 1 travels farther away from the Sun, the available solar energy experiences a drop. We would agree that this is an issue. However, the engineers came prepared, as they compensated for this growing threat by ensuring that the spacecraft adjusted its power use accordingly. This adaptive approach is a triumph on the part of NASA engineers and researchers because it ensures that the available power resources are efficiently allocated to support the probe's critical operations and data transfer back to Earth. Interestingly, the good news doesn't end here, as there have been ongoing technical advancements and upgrades in power management, which have allowed engineers to refine and enhance the power systems of the spacecraft over the years. A closer look at these advancements would reveal that they involve more efficient power distribution, improved battery charging techniques, and advancements in power regulation and control. The implementation of well-thought-out and planned power management strategies has opened an exciting door for engineers. It has made it possible for engineers to extend the operational lifespan of the Explorer 1 spacecraft, along with its twin, Explorer 2. This is a big win for the academic community and the world at large. The careful allocation and management of power resources have provided Voyager 1 with the necessary strength required to keep exploring the depths of the universe. The discovery reverberated through the